Hello everyone, my name is Alexey Gilgriv, and today I will talk about coding interview. Let's go with me some small hikes in Silicon Valley and think why coding is important and compare with my previous words. Yeah, let's see. So, like small disclaimer before we started. So, all the materials I gathered here, it's like more my personal experience interviewing for fund companies, especially last years and a couple of years ago. Yeah, I got a lot of offers, fortunately. It's also feedback from my colleagues, my friends, um, and web research. So let's start with coding interview. Before, I always tell you that coding interview is not really important for the interview cycle. Basically, it's happened because you just go to the interview and all the grading happen on behavior part or system design. And coding is just true or false. You can pass it or fail, and that's it. But still, you need you have to know how to code as far as you're a software engineer, and you need to gather more information. You need to be prepared for sure. Yeah. So let's start with some rounds of coding. It can be different from company to company. Different the coding like coding interview it's the same, but the round can be different, the questions can be different, and I gather something for you for all the fun companies and a couple of more big tech companies that personally interesting to me, and I believe it can be also interesting to you. The rounds. So let's start with FAANG. F means Facebook. Now it's Meta. So it can be like 2 or 3 rounds of interview, usually 1 or 2 tasks per round, and the difficulty can be different from easy to hard. Like maybe a couple of easy tasks for depends on your level, the level you're aiming, or it can be one hard task. Yeah, why we have like a different task and a different amount of sessions, like 2 or 3. I will discuss on the next slide. But let's focus on like difference between companies to companies. So the next part is Amazon. Amazon has like 2 or 3 rounds, like the same, depends on your level and so on and so forth. We'll discuss it later. And usually just one task per one round. Yeah, that's it. And it's kind of like easier. It can be easy to medium task. It's not obviously lead code, but we'll also discuss it on the next slides when we start to talk about some specific companies. Apple. So the same, 2 or 3 rounds. Test per round can be 1 or 2, depends on the like manufacturers. It can be like slightly harder, medium to hard. Netflix 2, 3, the same amount of rounds. Usually just one task per round. Don't spend much time to prepare like a lot of different. It should not be obviously lead code, but we'll discuss it. So the how hard it can be, like medium to hard. Google, yeah, it can be tricky. So 3 to 4 rounds, maybe less or maybe more. Yeah, but Google is lead code specific. On the other hand, it's easier to prepare. So, and it has like 1 or 2 tasks per round as well, medium to hard. Microsoft is out of funk, but it's still like a big company, and a lot of people desire to work for Microsoft. So 3 to 4 rounds, and 1 or 2 tasks like medium to hard. Nvidia, yeah, good stocks. 2 or 3 rounds, but they still prefer like one task per round. Maybe sometimes they ask you for another one, like 1 or 2 tasks per round, medium to hard. And Tesla. So about 2 rounds, it can be different. I haven't interviewed for Tesla. If you have some experience interviewing for Tesla, yeah, let me know. I will update this presentation and let's share in comment section. So as far as I learned from the others, like it can be like 2 rounds. one or two tasks per round, medium to hard. Okay, why we talking about like it can be two, three, or even four rounds? Like it's completely different stuff. So it depends on your level for sure. The level you're aiming. So if you entry level, like less amount of tasks, let's say two. If you aiming like junior or mid, I see three or I see four. It can be uh, kind of like the same or more to three tasks per round. If you aiming like senior positions or even staff positions, so three or more rounds coding interviews. And for some companies, like okay, for some companies and fun companies from FAANG, you also will have coding sessions for management position because you know how to code. It's will be like less tricky if you interview for managers than if you interview for software engineers. But you need to know what your team will be doing. So another factor that's related to how many rounds of coding you will have, it's like performance from the previous round. For example, if you do the great job and perform well on phone interview, and your interviewer is quite confident that you're a really good one, so you might skip about one round and yeah, have less amount of rounds for your on-site interview. So also you can have additional rounds if you have role-specific tasks, role-specific roles. Yeah, for example, if you interview for ML or like mobile engineer, you'll obviously have like one more, and it's role specific. Can be not just lead code, but something like for mobile related to Android or iOS, something like that. And it also can be like by razors. For example, uh, you did well, but your interviewer is not really comfortable that you aim such position. So you will might have another round of interview. On the other hand, if you feel like you're quite confident that you can redo something and have a get better position, still you might ask for another round and do it better. So general recommendation for coding interview. So as I tell you a lot of before, just ask clarifying questions because yeah, it's really crucial. A lot of people just starting to dive into the code because don't know what exactly I asked from them. Yeah, just ask clarifying questions. So it's less tricky for a coding round compared to system design. It's not open-ended usually, but depends on the company for sure. But yeah, ask clarifying questions, ask about test cases, uh, rephrase and say, okay, am I understood this problem correct that we need to do this and that? Yeah. Then just think about the algorithm. Tell your interviewer out loud what the algorithm should do, like step by step. Think about complexity, like time specific or space specific, big O and the stuff. Then create some test cases that you will use to validate your algorithm. And eventually you will use the same test cases when you will write the code. Make sure your algorithms still work. You roll those test cases, you know. But make sure that after those cases, your algorithms that you mentioned before will work. Maybe do some adjustment, it's still okay. Yeah, and then keep your test cases in mind and start writing the code. Yeah, write a code, start to be like clean code, try to avoid jumping from line to lines. It's usually visible for interviewer. Have you be prepared? Like writing code from line to line, commenting everything, or just put text here and there, create some functions can be useful. Yeah, and when your code is done, just you had your test cases and edge cases for sure, and evaluate your code. Uh, see, go line by line, see that all the test cases work. You write the correct code, and so on and so forth. No issues. If you have some issues, just fix it. It's nothing. It's not a problem. And provided this, have to improve the solution because never be ideal for sure. There are a lot of gaps to improvement, and let's tell your interviewers that have to improve them. Yeah, fun fact that behind me you can see Silicon Valley for sure, and almost all the companies that we're talking about, they're here. Yeah, over the bay. Here's the bay, and after that you can see, you barely see, it's like foggy right now. So yeah, Meta, Google, somewhere there, Netflix, or Microsoft, uh, Apple. Yeah, all the cool companies that you probably want to work for, like behind me. Okay, let's go from company to company. Facebook, or now it's Meta. Question type, it's usually a lead code. It's easier to prepare. Just prepare some knowledge about screens, algorithms, trees, graphs, so on and so forth. Difficulty, yeah, it can be like medium to hard, but I also faced some really easy task. Not sure, maybe they treat it as medium, but yeah, they usually like easy in lead code. If they ask you a couple of tasks. And some recommendation for you is just master problem solving. Yeah, you have to know how to solve and know this standard pattern, like, and for those problems like sliding window, be fast, two pointers, like a lot of trees. Yeah, just go fast and accurate. For Meta, it's always time pressure as far as we have like a couple of tasks per round, but still focus on clear code. It should be like testable and understandable. Yeah, just communicate your approach. It's common also for any interviews. Just communicate ahead of time before you write the line. Just telling your interviewer that you want to write this thing. Yeah, and go on. Amazon. So question type, it's like fundamental data science, data structures and architecture and algorithms. So it's usually arrays, hash maps, strings, binary trees. Yeah, as usual, but they tend to ask something like specific for your role, especially if you interview as mobile engineer. So yeah, you will not be able to write your Android code, but it will be like still more mobile specific tasks to do. Yeah, just practice high frequency patterns. That's the same like for the meta I said before. A lot of hash maps I faced on the Amazon interviews. Keep your code clean, robust, stable, and especially for Amazon, like good part, they always tend to ask some leadership principles, what they value in their companies. And even on the coding interview, let's try to emphasize those things that you support those values as well. Apple, yeah, those guys. Apple. So question types is like a combination between algorithmic questions and like domain specific. especially for mobile, or mail. Difficulty medium to hard. Yeah, I can say that about the difficulty and the task itself. So for Apple, it's less standardized. They ask you some random stuff, basically, depend on the team. So if you have more details, more examples, please comment for this video if you have your own experience with Apple. So yeah, just ask your recruiter about the areas that you need to be prepared. I usually on my first initial phone screen or like call with recruiter HR, I ask what type of the questions they will ask me. Like it will be like lead code style or maybe some domain specific one. If it's domain, to what domain it should be. Usually they ask me, they answer me, and maybe provide some another documents that is useful for preparation. And be ready and possibly system or product context problems. Yeah, as usual, and besides the quality, the stability for your code, it can be like also scalable and uh, why you do these trade-offs in your code. For example, why you choose this approach instead of that one. So it can be valuable for the Apple as well. So Netflix, yeah, it's a lovely one. They're cash instead of stocks and this kind of stuff. So they tend to less ask you about the lead code, but it's more real world problems or the algorithms. Yeah, expect some practical implementation. Yeah, it can be fun for sure. I so appreciate interview with Netflix. So in terms of the difficulty, it's like medium to hard. Yeah, it can be different, and also it depends on the team. So one team can ask you one question, the other another. They completely different. Yeah, it can be frustrating you at some point, but yeah, it's really team specific interviews. Some recommendation, yeah, focus on clean code, maintenance, testability, and the same like for the Apple. On the first step, when you have a call with your HR, ask them about what this team or maybe just in general they want to ask you, what type of the questions and so on and so forth. They usually have like prepared answer for that type of the question for you. Yeah, so you will tell a lot and talk a lot about architecture, some patterns, and some approaches that you use. Like, be prepared to consider about trade-offs that you're going to do in your code, especially if it's like design questions. And yeah, it's also know well your resume because they usually ask, at least from my experience, they usually ask some specific part, depends on what you showed, like in terms of hashtags and skills in your resume. They want you prove those skills. So Google, nice. So basically, Google is more or less the same like Meta. So still like focus on the coding interview. It's easy to prepare with lead code, like trees, graphs, dynamic programming, So difficulty medium to hard, high structured, yeah. Uh, just recommendation, problem solving. Solve as more problems as you're able to do. Yeah, some people can suggest different stuff in terms of lead code, how many problems you can solve. I can provide my experience, but yeah, it can be better. Not in this video, I think, but you can ask me, I will tell you. So yeah, and the same like create some structure, clear code, think about the unit tests and general testing for this code. It can be useful. Yeah, just master your recursion algorithm, trees, BFS, DFS. I personally had a lot of metrics related questions for Google. Okay, So Microsoft, I can say that Microsoft can be like more or less the same like Google and Facebook, but it's slightly easier in my point of view. So it's like balance mix, lead code style plus role specific. But keep in mind about data structures, linked list, trees, and so on and so forth. Just difficulty, it can be like medium to hard. Nothing really special for the Microsoft. Yeah, but less intense, as I said, less than Google and Meta. So some recommendation, just prepare algorithms, seal it code, filter by Microsoft. Yeah, that's it. But also like feel it will have some team specific or domain specific questions. Like maybe it will be sub questions for your problems that you're solving. It's like lead code question with some additions. Uh, Review your past projects and how they relate to the role. It will be useful to discuss on this one. So they usually have some couple of minutes in section to discuss your previous experience as well. And also like be prepared for the follow-up questions, usually like and debug some stuff. Usually you have to do it by yourself, prepare your test cases and debug your code with your test cases as well. So Nvidia, that's a really good one. And it's one of the stocks last time. So, but it's really hard in terms of algorithms questions. They're really tricky and they have a lot of my math heavy questions. I hate them for sure. Some roles also needed your knowledge about C++ and CUDA. So difficulty medium to hard, but I said like you have to be prepared for some specific one. So they asked me about some math questions on the lead code task. Yeah, it's terrible from my experience. But on the other case, yeah, they have like tons of money and interesting experience as well. So, but practice with C++ and Python. I haven't done some interview for the NVIDIA recently. So if you had some interview in video recently, just comment under this video. It can be useful for the others. For my experience, like a couple of years ago, and they usually ask me, do I know C++ or something? Yeah, focus are on writing optimized code. Low level code is relevant. Provide some optimization for the performance and so on and so forth. Know some fundamentals for sure, like know deeply about sorting, memory handling, recursion, and so on and so forth. They will, I don't know, ask a lot of this. Tesla. It's not from my experience. Yeah, but as far as I learned, they like it's still like coding challenges, trees, graphs, something tied to real world engineering systems. So it's medium to high difficulty. Yeah, you also have to expect some domain specific one, especially for ML roles. So recommendation, understand how to apply algorithms in real world use cases. Review your projects. You'll just your experience and just connect the dots between your previous experience and Tesla. It will be useful for any interview for any company as well. Prepare for a coding walkthrough and think aloud the problem solving. Oh, I also forgot about the Netflix that they usually give you some task for to home and then review your code thoughtfully. So yeah, thank you for watching this video and yeah, tell me about your experience that you had from your recent years. We'll update this your experience and your interview will be useful for us to share. Yeah, thank you. Ask me questions. Subscribe on my channel, like and so on. For see you. Bye.